All right, I'm going to call us to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to Thank you. We have all 5 board members present this evening, and thank you, Casey, Zephyrin, and Paige for being here as well. We need to adopt the meeting agenda. We're going to make one amendment to it. We are going to move the student building reports, both the NCTA and Mount Airy reports, to next month to allow our students a little more time to have those ready. So I will take a motion to approve the meeting agenda with those amendments.
So moved.
Thank you, Meredith. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Diana. And so, Dr. Irish, do you want to introduce Mr. Hanrahan for the Island View presentation?
It is a pleasure to introduce Dr. Hanrahan to give us a little report on the great work that he and his staff and students are doing at Island View.
Thank you. The student who is joining me, his name's Gavin. You'll meet him officially or formally here in a few minutes. But when he sat down, he looked at the empty tables and microphones and he said, "Looks like a courtroom." All of a sudden, I felt nervous. Courtroom. So I'm very excited to be here tonight with Kawanda Richardson, who is our MTSS facilitator at Island View, and Gavin Corbin, a 4th grader at Island View. And when the board visited Island View in November, and when I recently participated in a board study session here with you, I focused primarily on the behavior teamwork that we've done this year and we're very proud of. Tonight, I want to focus on another school improvement effort, and that's our MTSS program. And the MTSS program is one of the primary ways that we are, as a staff, trying to close our achievement gap. May I have the second slide, or do I do that? So at the heart, and it's the critical heart of our MTSS work, is data. And here's a list of the data that we use to identify students who need support in math and reading. It's also the data that we use to monitor whether or not our interventions are working. And one thing I really want to point out is we don't rely only on big data points like map data. The majority of the data that we use that's listed there are classroom-based assessments that really help us tailor the supports to individual student needs. And that's something we're going to try to emphasize this evening. The other part of our MTSS work that is new this year and that we're very, very proud of is the nimbleness of the program. And by that, I mean, once we identify a student, we monitor that student and we exit the student when the student needs to be exited. We shift sometimes where a student needed support in a particular math unit, for instance. And once we get through that math unit, we see in the data that the student does not need the support anymore. So we exit the student from the program. And that, I think, is the strength of what we've developed over the last couple of years. To highlight that strength, Ms. Richardson will share with you several grade level examples. Ms. Richardson?
Hi, I'm Kawanda Richardson. I am the MTSS coordinator at Island View, and I'm going to share, like Dr. Hanrahan said, about some of the different groups and how we service them at Island View. So one of the first things is fourth grade. I've worked with primarily the same group of students all year long. That's what the team has decided. We found in the very beginning, and those students have been pretty consistent. We did have a student move into the district for about a month who needed some extra support, joined MTSS, family left, and they were no longer part of it, obviously. Our second grade team is way different in how we service our students. I pull 3 students first thing in the morning, and other students are serviced in their classroom with paras and the teachers, and then we rotate groups. I have a different group that comes to me of 5 students that are a different reading level, so that way those kids are getting exactly what they need for their support. Plus, that way students get 2 or 3 doses of services throughout the morning, and that's the benefit for those kids. Fifth grade is also different. We've actually switched what we service and how we service depending on what the data shows, both from classroom assessments and from our actual benchmarks that we have throughout the year. So at the beginning of the year, I worked with a small reading group, and then 2 of them actually kind of like the second grade, and then we decided to swap that up. I work with math students. I had a huge math group. Paras helped do some reading and also help with filling gaps of missing work, just giving supports. And then teachers could also work with small groups at the same time. So it was very much a team effort. With our middle of the year data that we collected, we met again and said, we need to switch some of these up. Some of the kids are showing growth, and so they'll be serviced in their classrooms now and by paras pushing in. And I work with a smaller group. We have 1 student that comes to me just for working on math facts alone every day, just so they're getting that repeated practice. And then they head back to class while I work with other skills that help support what the kids are learning in class. So we've made it a very fluid, very not one size fits all kind of program, but we really look grade by grade because the kids are so different in what they need in every grade that we really try and meet those needs all day long and all year long. So thank you. I want to also introduce now, we asked one of my students that I've worked with all year in 4th grade. He's an amazing student. He comes to school ready to learn. He's always like, can I practice fluency one more time? He's excited. He works hard. He's an enthusiastic learner, and I'm really excited to introduce Gavin Corbin.
Hello, my name is Gavin Corbin. I'm 9 years old and I go to Island View Elementary School. One of my most favorite things to do is to talk to my friends. This is my first year in Anacortes before moving here. My family lived in Burlington. I'm to Lucille Unbarger. The schools in Anacortes are the ultimate upgrade. And the football teams are way better than Burlington football teams. Mr. Bickley is my teacher at school. He is the funniest teacher I've had. He always tells us funny stories from his life. Mr. Bickley also coaches sports, which I just think is great. But one thing I do not like about Mr. Bickley is that he likes brownies. Brownies are disgusting in my opinion. Mrs. Richardson is my reading teacher. She takes her time to teach everyone differently. She cares about all of the kids in her class. In my reading group, we read all the time. Every day we read paragraphs, small stories, and sometimes we read very long stories. We also work on spelling and writing. On Friday, we play games that are actually fun. And Mrs. Richardson gives us cool stickers. Mrs. Richardson wanted to treat all of her students for their hard work, so we had a literacy night. There were many different reading games and activities. One room was pitch black, but it was lit up with a ton of glow sticks. Everyone got a new book to take home. All this should have cost millions of dollars, but it was all free. At times, reading group can be very hard, but Mrs. Richardson has taught me how to sound out words and to break words into chunks. This has helped me out. In reading, there are 132 levels, and I'm now at level 105. Mrs. Richardson is a perfect teacher for me. She is just so nice and helps everyone. I'm very happy to live in Anacortes and to go to Island View. I'm also very happy that I'm getting better at reading. Thank you.
Any questions?
Well, I know that you wrote that speech, Gavin, but that was some pretty amazing reading that you did while you were at the podium. And it's sometimes even harder to read when you're in front of a whole bunch of people. But you didn't falter at all. So thank you for being here and sharing your story with us and talking so wonderfully about your teachers.
Gavin, would it be okay if I came and gave you a fist bump? That was awesome, bud.
I too have a few thank yous. Kwanda Richardson is in a leave replacement position in this MTSS role, and she has just put heart and soul into this work, and it was a steep learning curve, and she did everything she needed to do to change students' lives. So I want to thank her. And Gavin, enough said, right? He has worked so hard. When I talked to him about this experience, he was very excited. 2 days later, he had a 4-page draft of a presentation, and he's been rehearsing it and rehearsing it and rehearsing it, and that really showed this evening. So thank you, Gavin. I'd also like to thank the board. There's a lot going on. All you have to do is look in the room. There's a lot going on, and I felt nothing but your presence and focus. So thank you for all of your efforts and your work to help our students and support our students. It's inspirational work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Mr. Hanrahan, and Gavin and Kwanda, and thank you, Mr. Bickley, as well. We are going to, is Colton here? Didn't even look and see. We've been trying to get Colton Hong here for the past several meetings. Oh, yay. Thank you. Dr. Irish, are you going to?
Can we ever honor him?
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Rachel and Dakota from the Boys and Girls Club are going to present Colton Hong. Thank you. Thank you for being here also.
Right, good evening. So my name is Rachel Olson. I'm the new executive director of Peak Pursuits at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Skagit County, so you'll hear a lot more about that in the coming months. I'm filling in for Michael Luck, who is on vacation this week visiting family. I have the privilege, actually, of presenting an award before I let Colton speak here. We have an Academic Success Award at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Skagit County, and it's presented to a specific partner in our community every year, specifically someone who's made a huge impact on our kids. So this past year, our organization has expanded our services in Anacortes, and we now serve youth from birth to 18, which is a huge win for us. The work truly would not have been possible without all of you and the incredible partnership of the Anacortes School District. So I'm pleased to present the Academic Success Award tonight to the Anacortes School District. Thank you for everything you've made possible for the kids in our community. And I'm not sure who to hand this to, but you have like a little award. It's really cute. So I'll come pass it up. But while I do that, it is my pleasure to introduce Colton, who is our 2025 Skagit Youth of the Year. And this is a really cool thing because he's from Anacortes. So we love it.
Testing. Okay. Where are you from? When are you leaving? 3 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to even say those sentences. I suddenly started stuttering in middle school, and it was specifically hard for me to say words that began with the letter W. I would spend the vast majority of my days trying to avoid speaking. Stuttering tore me down and destroyed my self-confidence. My name is Colton Hong, and I've been involved with the Boys and Girls Club since my freshman year. I soon realized that I needed to become comfortable with being uncomfortable to overcome my stutter. And what could be more uncomfortable than a stutterer like me joining my high school speech and debate team? Debating at a breakneck pace, my brain forgets about my stutter and feels less self-conscious. Hundreds of debate rounds and one state championship later, my stutter has been almost completely eliminated, both in and out of debate. As my stutter diminished, my self-confidence grew, and I was able to approach the Boys and Girls Club about an idea I had long had. For years, I'd wanted to create my town's first ever free tennis camp. As a lifelong tennis player, it always bothered me that my town had tennis courts, but lacked the resources to connect kids to them. I wanted to address the knowledge and equipment barriers of the game, and so I reached out to the Anacortes Boys and Girls Club for my idea. All I would need were rackets, balls, and kids, right? How hard could it be? While the Boys and Girls Club agreed that their members had little exposure to tennis and were thrilled about the idea, they assured me that there was a little bit more involved than just getting some rackets together. They helped me understand the dozens of logistical meetings, many liability forms, communicating with campers, and much more. On top of that, I also had to reserve the tennis courts, rent out porta potties, secure equipment donations, and create fun programs too. What started out as an easy project turned into a complex task that required tackling countless challenges over the course of 9 months. But ultimately, the camp was a success, with 30 campers, 3 coaches, and a logistically smooth operation in its inaugural year. Last summer, in its second year, we had 40 kids, and hopefully even more this summer. Now, our town's tennis courts are actually being used. The club has provided me with the unique opportunity to be a leader and make a lasting difference. I'm forever grateful to the club for helping me find myself, my confidence, and my community. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we're going to take a picture.
Do you want me to grab your stuff? I can take your stuff.
All right, and we have the Purple Star Award.
Good evening, board. I am thrilled and honored to announce to you tonight that the Anacortes School District has won the 2025 Purple Star Award by OSPI for the first time, and WASA for its strong commitment to supporting military-connected students and families. This prestigious two-year designation recognizes districts that implement military-friendly practices, such as maintaining a dedicated webpage for military families, appointing trained staff contacts, providing professional development for staff on military family needs, and hosting military family nights. Next one is tomorrow at Island View at 3 o'clock. Anacortes is one of only 6 districts in Washington State to receive this 2025 designation, and we will be honored at the WASA, not WASDA, Region 108 Honorary Awards held on May 16th. But I have a really fun comment to share. This is 5th grader Anna Skelton from Island View. Island View is a popular school tonight. She shared how she welcomes new students to help them feel at home if they're military. My uncle Nico was in the Marines and my abuelo was in the Air Force, so I know how important it is to feel welcome when you move to a new place. When new students come to our school, I try to be kind and help them feel like they belong because everyone deserves to feel at home, especially when their families serve our country. So thank you, Anna, for sharing your story with us. And then I have a message from NAS Whidbey Island Leadership, Team Whidbey, as well as the XO and the CO of the base. Congratulations on winning this award and supporting our families in the Anacortes community. We are thrilled for you. Thank you.
And I just want to acknowledge Nikki as our communication specialist in making sure that that we're recognized and the work that we're doing is visible. And this award would not have happened if it wasn't for Nikki. So thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. We are going to move into public comment. We have quite a number of public comments this evening. So before we start, I will just remind folks that are coming up to do public comment that you are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. We do this so that everyone can have an equal opportunity to speak. There will be Nikki will start the timer over there so you can watch the time yourselves and make sure that you wrap up when you see it getting close to 3 minutes. The timer will ring if you get to 3 minutes, and we will have to cut you off if you are going on past 3 minutes. And also, the board doesn't typically respond to comments during the meeting. We will follow up as necessary afterwards, either one of us or Dr. Irish, if it's necessary. All right, so we're just going to go in order. The first person is Heather Jennings. You have 3 minutes. So. Just 3 minutes, unless the other person. He's number 2. Okay. Oh, you're number 2. Oh, Doug is on there as well. Okay, sorry. It looked like he was cut. He was scratched out. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. We're here to talk on behalf of our daughter Jade Jennings, who
Is the microphone on before we start? We just. Okay. You might just have to pull it closer because it's live, so we want to make sure folks can hear.
First of all, I'm horrible. I hate public speaking, so I need to channel some Colton and some Gavin energy here. We're here to speak on behalf of our daughter Jade Jennings, who tried out for Anacortes High School cheer and was selected. And so we're here to talk about that. As dedicated members of the Anacortes community, we have always valued our contribution to the town's growth and togetherness. Our roots here run deep. Anacortes is more than just our home. It's where we have built lasting memories and lifelong friendships. This year, we continue our support by paying almost $4,000 in our 2025 school taxes and almost $12,000 in school taxes over the last 3 years, ensuring that local education and extracurricular programs thrive. As longtime residents and homeowners of Anacortes contributing to the community and its development, also I want to say that I'm an alumni class of 1993, Anacortes graduate, and Island View. Our dedication to the Anacortes Seahawks team. Jade has been cheering for the Anacortes Seahawks team for 7 years, demonstrating her commitment and passion. Cheerleading is her only sport, making it a significant part of her life and personal growth. Jade's journey with the Anacortes Cheer Program is a testament to her devotion to our local sports and community spirit. Over the years, she has grown not only as an athlete, but as a cherished member of the cheer team, earning respect and admiration from peers and spectators alike. Her unwavering support for the football team has been a cornerstone of the program's success. Both her cheer coaches have offered to write letters about this fact. Having been an integral part of the team for 7 years, Jade's presence is more than just a routine. It's a tradition that embodies the values of camaraderie and perseverance. Her enthusiasm and energy on the field inspire both the players and the audience, creating an energetic atmosphere that motivates everyone involved. Moreover, Jade's efforts extend beyond just cheering. She has consistently contributed to the team's growth through various fundraising activities, ensuring the program remains vibrant and well supported. Her proactive approach in raising funds exemplifies her leadership and commitment, further solidifying her role as a key player in the cheer program's continued success. She wants to keep cheering for our community and alongside her cheerleading friends. Jade also wants to continue high school at the private school, which she currently attends. She is crushed just thinking about being forced to choose between these two. Jade tried out for the cheer team and was selected, showcasing her skills and dedication. She has already been fitted for her uniform, indicating her readiness to participate fully in the program. But at this time, she's been told she's not able to participate. Jade's commitment to her cheerleading team is undeniable. She has shown remarkable dedication not only through her successful qualifications, but also by taking proactive steps in fundraising. Jade has taken initiative and responsibility by raising almost all of her portion of the funds for the team fundraiser.
This effort not only highlights her dedication, but also her ability to contribute positively to the team's financial needs. We as a family are supporters of our community and have supported the Food to Go fundraiser for the past 3 years, and actually it's in a couple weeks. Allowing her to stay with her friends in a private school while participating in a cheer program in our local community also aligns with principles of inclusivity and support of local talent. The cheer program is a taxpayer-funded program, meaning contributions help sustain and develop. Given that the program funds come from taxpayers, it is imperative that the regulations accommodate all students within the Anacortes district, allowing their school affiliation as long as they meet necessary qualifications being accepted to the program. This inclusive approach should extend to other sports and activities promoting equality and fairness across the board. Not allowing Jade to participate in this coming year would set a precedence for all sports in the Anacortes activities, more so the football team as well. We know several families that attend private schools and their kids play within the community. Is that different than cheer? Let's set the precedence now for our community by allowing homeschoolers and private schoolers to participate in activities not attending the school. Our question for the board: do regulations specify that private school students are excluded while homeschool and Running Start students are currently included? If so, we'd like to know the difference. Thank you for your time and your consideration in being part of the school board.
Thank you for your comments. All right, next we have Paige Kirby.
Hi, my name is Paige Kirby and I'm a senior at Anacortes High School. Before I begin, I would like you to think about the school board's goals. What have we been working on for the past year? Immediately, I think of student belonging and engagement. At least that's what I thought our biggest goals were. However, I must be wrong because the school community is making choices that negatively affect students' belonging, engagement, and mental health. When I first met Ms. Fox, I could tell that she was passionate about helping me. Not only did she care about my academics, but she also cared about my activities outside of school, my relationships with both my friends and parents, and she genuinely wanted to listen to what I had to say. I would make an appointment for a schedule change, and I would end up staying in her office for hours because she wanted to know how I was doing outside of school. In my freshman year, I was really struggling with fitting in, and she would put things into a different perspective. I've been mad in her office, I've been sad, I've been happy, but no matter what emotions I've been feeling, she is always supportive. She wants to mourn with students and celebrate with them. She'll answer all questions that I have and really works with me until we come to a solution that I like. She is the reason I got to go to NCTA a year earlier than most do, and I am now going into a career because of that. Whenever students walk into her office, they know they won't be judged, but rather uplifted and supported. Not only does letting Miss Fox go affect high schoolers and their families, but it also affects middle schoolers. I think that most people can agree that middle school was the hardest years of their lives. Nobody is their best self in middle school, but I know personally that the counselors at the middle school are helping with student behavior, scheduling, and making sure that students feel like they belong. How are students supposed to feel supported when their counselor is only at their school for part of the time? Alongside this, how are we supposed to expect Miss Newell to go back and forth from the high school? She deserves to have a job that she enjoys coming to. Not only should we be thinking about student belonging, but also teacher, administrator, and supporting staff members' belonging. It is not fair to anybody to have a counselor who is not fully available to help them. This goes right into the elementary situation with only one counselor for all 3 elementary schools. This is the thing that I'm most disappointed in. We start to feel like we don't belong in elementary school, and by reducing the number of counselors, this number is going to continue to go up. Each of our counselors is doing their own wonderful projects. It is unfair for students not to know who their mental health resource is because they are only at their school a third of the time. Alongside this, students throughout the district have already made connections with their counselors. I can't even believe what I would have done if this had happened in my freshman year. I have made a connection with Miss Fox that I can't find in another counselor. I understand that it is hard to know who is to take responsibility for our financial situation. I plead that through negotiation and bargaining that the school community takes responsibility. The reality is we have to think about what is best for students, and right now what we are doing is not best for students. I was incredibly nervous to deliver this speech today, but by not speaking up, I'm doing an injustice to the students who are a part of the Anacortes School District. As a student board representative, it is my job to speak for students. I speak for all students when I say that this is the biggest mistake the school community has ever made, and it will be detrimental to student belonging, engagement, and learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Paige. Casey, you're next.
Hi, my name is Casey Knight, and I'm a junior at Anacortes High School. I'm also a student board member, or a student board representative, and then also a future ASB officer at the high school for the 2025-2024 school year. I will be speaking about our budget and reductions, and as some may know, the district is having to make reductions due to the lack of funding at the state level and other factors. And I understand it is out of our hands at the state level. With the lack of funding and budget reductions, we will be losing a crucial part of our school district. At the high school, we are losing one of our counselors, who happens to be my counselor, Miss Fox. I can say with my whole heart that she is one of the best counselors I've ever had the pleasure of working with. I've sat in her office and she has guided me through college planning, high school friendships, and other hardships. And I can confidently say that I would not have been able to do high school without her in my corner. Miss Fox is a crucial part of students' lives at the high school, and losing a counselor will be detrimental to the high school, middle school, and elementary schools. Counselors are people that kids look for guidance and their problems, and Miss Fox has been this person for 1/3 of our student body at AHS. Without her, 1/3 of our student body is going to have to be moved and given to other counselors and a part-time middle school counselor. I cannot speak on behalf of them, but I feel that that would be overwhelming for them. There are students at the high school in the district that depend on our counselors. Recently, the board had a site visit at Mount Erie Elementary School, and we got to hear about a student who had breakfast with their school counselors and has expressed that it is one of the best parts of his day and something he looks forward to every morning. Our district counselors are amazing at their job by bringing a safe and friendly environment to the schools they are at. To the people who are a part of our labor management group listening, please consider your contract. Please consider looking at your contract and see if there's anything you're willing to give up. Our district relies on our counselors so much, and we would not be here. We would not be where we are without them. And I understand that there are more cuts to come in the future in the district, but truly we cannot lose our counselors. Please, if you are willing to help, speak up and reach out. We need to come together as a district to help our staff and our district. To Ms. Fox, thank you for being in my corner and being one of my biggest supporters in my high school career. You mean so much to me and our district, and you are such a vital part of AHS. Thank you for all you do, our school and our district. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Casey. Zephyrin, you're next. You're next, Zephyrin.
I'm going to move this over. Here we go. So I'd like to preface this specific comment by noting that I'm not only talking to the school board, but also to the Anacortes community as a whole and the staff and teachers within the Anacortes School District. My name is Zephyrin Earhart, and I am a member of multiple clubs. I'm the head producer of the Broadcast Club. I am taking 2 APs, 1 college in the high school course, and I've taken full advantage of the opportunities provided to me by being a student at AHS and in the district. However, these opportunities are being threatened by budget constraints across not only the district, but the state as a whole. And I've already suffered from some of these cuts. I was an avid student from 6th grade until 9th grade when it was cut due to its immense cost. My involvement in the board as a representative of the Anacortes student body has given me the opportunity to see and understand most of the details about these cuts. Everyone knows that the details of these cuts aren't pretty, but they really aren't pretty. To just lay down the numbers, ASD has to cut, from my understanding, $1.3 million from its budget this year. These cuts are due to state demands, union demands, rising costs of utilities, etc. I'd like to zero in on the state and union demands, specifically the raise that Washington State is mandating for all school district employees. There are 2 halves of this issue. Obviously, school staff deserve to be paid more than they are. Staff work incredibly hard to ensure kids are getting the best education they can, and I admire the dedication shared among this district staff. However, the state is only giving us 70% of the $1 million it would take to pay staff this raise. The only way we wouldn't have to cut the $300,000 required to pay this raise is if staff refuse the raise. Furthermore, as some members of the community already know, each school in ASD is sacrificing some part of a counselor. This is because ASD can no longer afford to pay all counselors at all schools. The issue with this is obvious. Students need counselors, especially with the rising number of students with mental health difficulties at all ages. Even elementary school students are suffering, which was a point made at the board's visit to Mount Erie Elementary was just 1 week ago. The biggest problem is where we're headed. These are far from the last cuts needed to continue operating as a school district. The next cuts will impact students more and more. Programs such as athletics, band, choir, clubs, theater, and others will eventually have to go, unless we work together. The leaders in charge of making these decisions have been divided for far too long. The district office, the teachers at one school, the staff at another, the parents, and even the people you've all sworn to protect, the kids. I ask all of you now, not just these people, but all of you, find common ground. Please, if not for me, if not for your children, if not for the counselors who are being let go, do it because it's what the students in this district deserve. Do it for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zephyrin. Thank you. Jean Lundgren is next. Jean Lundgren? Oh, no problem. Sometimes people think they're just signing into the meeting. Anna Shelton? Is Anna? Oh.
Hi, my name is Anna, and I am in 5th grade. I just heard the news about the changes that are going to happen at Island View. We already had a lot of changes at my school. One thing I still really miss is the library time and our librarian, Miss Davis. I now heard Mr. Trout, our counselor, and some other teachers are getting up. Whenever someone in my class has big emotions by yelling and throwing things, Mr. Trout comes in and helps them calm down. It feels very unsafe when this happens, and we've even had to evacuate the classroom. I don't know what would happen if Mr. Trout wasn't there. It makes me sad that there will be so many changes at Island View. I think counselors are so important and need to be at our school every day. How do you think our school will be without a counselor there every day? I hope you consider this as a thought to change your decision.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anna. Next is Teresa McCartney. Nope. Okay. Octavia Eslick.
Hello, my name is Octavia Eslick. I have the privilege of serving as the music teacher at Island View, where I get to teach nearly every single student in the school. And along with that, I also have been able to work closely with our counselor, Mr. Trout, recently on working on the Island View Talent Show, which is a program that our previous school counselor, Tony Vecchione, had headed, and now we have a small committee. And through my work with Mr. Trout, I've really gotten to see how much he knows our kids. We have almost 470 students at Island View, approximately, and he knows our kids. I can mention any name in the entire building, in any classroom, of any grade, and he knows that kid. He knows what they like, he knows what they don't like, he knows what their home situation is like, he knows who their siblings are, whether they're at our school or not. He knows the challenge they had yesterday morning when they showed up to school. He knows that they had a really great day on Friday and that he got to celebrate that with a parent email. He knows our kids. What's coming next year if these changes aren't made, if changes to these proposed cuts are not made, is that our one elementary school counselor, who will not even be full-time, will be expected to serve over 1,100 students divided between 3 schools. She is an incredible human, but she will not know our kids. Nobody could. There are maybe 150 people in this room. Multiply that by almost 10. We cannot serve our kids when staff are not present in the building. And this will harm children. This will harm children. Thank you.
Next is Heather Shanan. Heather Shanan? Is Heather here? Yes. Oh, thanks, Heather.
My name is Heather Shanan. I teach the 4th and 5th grade challenge class at Island View. About a month ago, we learned that one of my students was cutting, And when I had a conversation with her, this 10-year-old child told me that she was suicidal and had a plan for how to take her own life. I immediately went to our counselor, who not only had a follow-up conversation with her, but spoke with the parents, the family, surrounded her with resources, and developed a safety plan that that child wants to follow. A little over a year ago, a student's mother was arrested and incarcerated while that child was at school, and the father emailed me to ask if I would let his child know why his mother would not be picking him up from school. Our counselor came and had that heartbreaking conversation with me and provided ongoing support for that child. In my class of students who qualify for highly capable services, I have a lot of students who are intellectually brilliant and developmentally delayed in terms of regulating their emotions. It goes hand in hand with giftedness. When a child is crying, screaming, and breaking things, all learning in a classroom stops. I can stop teaching my 29 other students to work with that individual, hoping I do or say the right thing, but what that child needs is a safe space with a trained counselor to teach them in that moment. And what the rest of the students need is to go on with their learning. These are not isolated incidents. They happen throughout our elementary schools every day. In most cases, teachers are not trained counselors. Principals are not trained counselors. Paras are not trained counselors. Without the support of trained counselors, we cannot educate children in our classrooms, nor provide social emotional education for the children who need it most. And as a parent, I will tell you with certainty that my child is alive because of the support and intervention of her high school counselor, Ms. Poggi. We are literally talking about children's lives. A friend of mine is a principal in a nearby school district that is in dire straits financially. He tried to order $25 worth of pencils, and that request was denied. He was told to call other schools to find pencils. But in that district, with a 0% fund balance, there is a counselor in every elementary school. So it seems clear to me that this comes down to our priorities and what could possibly be a higher priority than our children's lives. I've heard and understand all the constraints that have been described, but I am looking at a group of incredibly intelligent and creative human beings, and you can guide us in a better direction by asking different questions, digging deeper into our finances, and working hard to find solutions. Please do not eliminate our counselors just because it's what's easiest on paper.
Thank you, Heather. Renee Newell. Renee Newell is up next.
We all signed up for 3 minutes. Can we just go back to back to back?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah. Hello, my name is Renee Newell, and I'm one of the 2 school counselors at Anacortes Middle School. I'm here today to read a portion of a letter written by my district counseling team in an effort to raise awareness of the unique school counseling role, as well as urge our community to protect these positions from impending budget reductions. School counseling is an essential, funded, direct service to students. In May of 2023, the United States Surgeon General declared a youth mental health crisis. Anacortes is not immune from that reality. Every week, Anacortes School District counselors are conducting suicide assessments, supporting students who have attempted suicide, implementing safety plans for students who self-harm and are suicidal. School counseling has changed significantly from academic advising of the 20th century. What were once called guidance counselors are now school counselors, who are state-certified master-level counselors trained to serve students in 3 domains: academic development, social emotional development, and college and career readiness. We would like to raise awareness about our role, as well as to communicate the impact of recently proposed ASD cuts to school counseling services. Everyday school counselors support youth mental health, grades, attendance, behavior, social skills, college and career planning, and on-time graduation. We case manage each school's academic 504 plans. We support all students by teaching classroom Tier 1 lessons, running small counseling groups on topics from social skills to high school success skills, Tier 2, and counseling countless individual students every day, our Tier 3 services. We are trained to provide short-term solution-focused counseling. When there's greater need for in-depth long-term therapeutic support, we refer students and families to community mental health providers. AHS has a very high graduation rate, as you know, because of the 3 high school counselors carefully track every single graduation requirement for every single student across their 4 years. High school counselors are able to do so because our 3 elementary and 2 middle school counselors have helped students develop effective academic, social, emotional, and executive functioning skills leading up to high school. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Spencer Andrich. I am an Anacortes High School teacher and alumni. I will be continuing the letter written by our district counseling team. A little bit more about high school counseling in case you are not aware. High school counselors are required to process running START applications and track credits, process NCTA applications and track credits, track open door credits, advise students on these programs, process student common app reports for college, advise students on the difficult college selection process if that is their pathway, create and manage 504 plans, and help students plan their goals and next steps for life after high school, whether that be 2-year or 4-year college, military, or workforce. Counselors write countless letters of recommendations for students applying to college and scholarships. They plan and host the college fair and financial aid night, workshops, and provide scholarship support. We refer teachers work with counselors for IEPs when they have fallen through the cracks. When a student is not thriving at AHS, counselors work with students and their families to problem solve, and many times look at an alternative educational option. Counselors do everything they can to prevent a student from dropping out of high school. When new students move to Anacortes, due to a range of being from the military to being from without stable homes, counselors welcome them, support them, transfer prior credits, and build an Anacortes High School schedule based on what they need to graduate, since every school and every state or county offer and require different credits. A visit to any of our school counselors' offices will show revolving doors, current wait lists, and an overflowing inbox of students and their concerned families in need of support with academics, peer conflicts, social skills, mental health crises, and college and career planning. They build professional counseling rapport with students over years that helps students feel worthy, confident, and capable of a brighter future. When students are off track to graduate, whether it's due to failing grades, missing credits, inaccurate course registration, an unfinished high school and beyond plan, or an incomplete grad pathway, it is the high school counselors who track and intervene to develop a plan to course correct for on-time graduation or a change of educational placement if desired. Right now, we have several 12th grade students who are at risk of not graduating in less than 2 months. But rest assured, come June, it will be the counselors will see every single 12th grade student or close to walk across that stage of graduation because the counselors will do everything they can to help them get there. Thank you.
My name is Kristen Moore. I am also an alumni here. I'm also a teacher. I teach biology, chemistry, senior seminar, and I also work with kids on credit recovery. To continue the letter, for context, in 2003, the American School Counseling Association, the ASCA, released the national model to provide consistency and standard practice to counseling programs across the country. In 2021, Washington State adopted the Comprehensive School Counseling Program, CSCP, legislation. In 2023, the Anacortes School District adopted the policy and procedure to adopt the CSPC based on the ASCA. In April of 2025, the Anacortes School District proposed to cut 3 of its 8 school counselors. This would mean that all 3 elementary schools would split one single 0.8 school counselor. The middle school will have 1.5 counselors, and the AHS and Capsana High School will have to share 2.5 counselors. Washington State funds schools to provide school counseling services through prototypical funding model. Specifically, Washington State currently funds schools to provide school counselors at this ratio. Elementary school has 1 counselor per 606 kids, middle school at 1 counselor per 312 students, high school students 1 counselor per 221 counselors. Before these cuts, our high school, for example, were already understaffed in school counseling based on what is provided by state funding. High school counselors serve AHS and Capsana with a total of 840 students, which means that we are currently serving 177 students more than we were staffed for at the counseling center. With AHS's new plan for 2.5 high school counselors, will be understaffed by 288 students. Thank you.
My name is Ian Mayer. I'm the school counselor at Mount Erie Elementary School. To continue the letter, to the Anacortes community, and most importantly to our students, we are deeply concerned that under the proposed budget cuts, we will no longer be able to serve you with the level of quality, responsiveness, and care you deserve. Without adequate counseling support, graduation rates will likely decline. We anticipate a rise in attendance issues, behavioral challenges, and unmanaged mental health crises. Additionally, dropout rates may increase, and students will be left without the college and career readiness guidance they need and deserve. Cutting school counselors is a safety concern. Under the proposed cuts, Fidalgo Elementary School will have 1 school counselor 1 day per week, Mount Erie 1 counselor 1 day a week, and Island View will have 1 counselor 2 days a week. We know our teachers, staff, families, students, and our community will suffer greatly. Our most vulnerable students will feel these cuts in particular. Students who come from difficult home lives, students of colors, students with disabilities, English language learners, neurodivergent students, LGBTQ+ students, and students living in poverty will feel this change first, but all students and staff will feel it every day. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Batchelor. I teach special education here at the high school. All right, I'm going to recap some of the things that we've already learned tonight. Current student counselor ratio state funding. Anacortes elementary schools are currently funded at 1.8 school counselors to serve their 1,117 students. We currently have 2.4 elementary counselors. ASD is proposing to cut to 1.8 school counselor to serve all 3 elementary schools, 1 day Fidalgo, 1 day Mount Erie, 2 days Island View. Anacortes Middle School is currently funded at 1.96 school counselors to serve their 614 students. We currently have 2 AMS counselors. ASD is proposing to reduce to 1.5 middle school counselors. The high schools are currently funded at 3.8 school counselors to serve their 840 students, but we currently have 3.0 school counselors. ASD is proposing 2.5 high school counselors, which is understaffing us 288 students. School counselors provide essential direct services to hundreds of students every day. Cutting school counselors is not in compliance with state funding guidelines and fails to align with ASD policy 2140. The policy affirms that these services must be delivered in accordance with state laws and regulations, district policies and procedures, and supported by appropriate staffing and program resources. I'm going to add a little bit of something that I feel. However, appropriate staffing can never be just a financial balancing act in public education. After these stark facts and figures, here's the human side to this issue. I'm a special education teacher at the high school and work closely with our talented counselors every single day to make sure our vulnerable students succeed academically and emotionally. I think I can safely speak for the entire special education team when I say that we cannot serve our students adequately without all 3 of them. If these cuts remain, our students and their families will most definitely suffer. Recently, a parent of one of our deeply depressed students told the special education team, "Without Kara Fox's care and timely interventions, my child would not be alive today." Our counselors cannot be replaced at any school. As a community, we must ask ourselves, are we willing to sacrifice the bright futures of our most precious assets, our children, from kindergarten all the way up to their senior year, to save the bottom line? We urge the board and the Anacortes community to reject the proposed cuts to school counseling services. Students of every age desperately need the services that these consummate, credentialed professionals provide. The ripple effects of these proposed cuts will substantially impact our youth and school communities in the near term, and then in widening circles for many years to come. Thank you to the board for your time and for your careful consideration of everything said this evening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Doug Jennings. Doug Jennings? Okay. Oh, you. Okay. Thanks. No, that's all right. Becca Fong.
Hi, my name is Becca Fong, and I am a parent of a child in elementary and a child in middle school. It's a tough act to follow. I don't have any prepared statements, but I ended up here by complete happenstance. I managed to strike up a conversation with somebody last week and find out about the impending cuts. And it was deeply troubling to me. My kids are performing very well in the school system, and I think that it is thanks to all of the support that they get. I think what you guys have heard tonight is an incredible voice of support for the counseling services that are here. And I wanted to echo what was just said in the previous letter, that the most vulnerable will feel it first, but all staff and all students will feel it every day eventually. And I think about, we are here today talking about the counseling services. Last year, we were here talking about librarian services and reductions to paraeducators. And I hope that we are not going to be here next year and the year after talking about other critical services that are at risk. So I don't have any easy solutions. I get it's hard times. There are budget gaps. You cannot make money appear. I know that it's driven by reduced enrollment. As you reduce services to our community, to our students, to support the fantastic folks that you have recruited to teach our students and care for them, you will lose more and more enrollment. And that is incredibly critical. I have to say both of my students have received support in lots of different ways, from the paras that were lost last year, from the librarians, from the counselors that are here in this room. And it would be heartbreaking to see them not be as successful as they are if those kinds of services are going to be on the chopping block in the future. So I realize you have hard tasks ahead of you, and I implore that you guys not lean into a good compromise is when all parties are disappointed. You're smart, you're capable, I know you can find a way. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Becca. Next is Bronwyn O'Donnell. Did I say your first name right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Bronwyn O'Donnell, and I'm here to explain how much we need counselors and enough of them to serve our students' needs and for them to be able to do their jobs well. They help students get through heavy losses, big emotions, and so many hard things. One example was that when my grandfather died, there was 2 counselors at the middle school. My brother's counselor wasn't available, but the second middle school counselor was, so he had someone to talk to. Last year, we had a heavy loss at our school. We lost a teacher, and for my family, a family friend, and I had to wait to know the whole story, but I had seen something wrong when I left the pool. Last year, our now new counselor had a different job and helped students get through it, even if he wasn't a counselor yet, but he is now, this year. Counselors also help students stop bullying students. There are so many things counselors can do. So sit back and enjoy. I have been at Island View for 6 years of school, and my whole life as the youngest member of my family. I can't understand some things that have happened. Last night I asked why my mom was so late, and she told me about the meeting she attended, and that next year in the elementary school we have to share one counselor. The middle school will only have 1.5 and the high school will only have 2.5. We need more help for students, not less. This year our counselor has held lunch and social groups. He comes to our classrooms and shares lessons, strategies we can use in life in a way we can understand. Mr. Trout is great at building relationships. He went with us to outdoor school this year and was great helping students work through missing home or finding solutions to other challenges. My siblings talk about a lot of things at middle school and high school. We need our counselors, and we need these counselors. They know us, and with so many students in the building, that's impressive. How can one counselor at elementary know all the students? She can't. We need counselors for each school. Please do not approve cutting counselors. Thank you for considering revising your recommendations.
Thank you. Thank you, Bronwyn. We have Paige Kirby speaking on behalf of Gabby Olson.
I'm back. I was asked to speak on behalf of Gabby Olson. She is a senior at Anacortes High School this year. I am deeply saddened and upset by the school board's recent decision to defund one of our most cherished counselors, Ms. Fox. This decision not only affects the students she has tirelessly supported, but also undermines the invaluable contribution she has made to our school community. Ms. Fox is the kindest, most generous, and most amazing woman you could ever meet. Her compassion and dedication have had a profound impact on my life, and I know I am not alone in feeling this way. Throughout my high school years, Ms. Fox has been a resource of hope and support for me and believed in my future when it felt like nobody else did. Her ability to understand and empathize with students' struggles is unmatched. Ms. Fox's guidance has been crucial in helping me graduate. When I did not get into my top college, Ms. Fox helped me write an appeal. When I was struggling in math, Ms. Fox found tutors. She has been a rock for many students when life is thrown at us. Additionally, Ms. Fox has played a crucial role in preparing me for life after high school. Her support has extended beyond emotional and mental well-being. She has also provided invaluable assistance with college applications, career planning, and personal development. Mrs. Fox's dedication to her students' success is evident in the countless hours she spends helping us achieve our goals. Defunding her position would be a tremendous loss to our school, and I urge the school community to reconsider their decision for the sake of all students who rely on her support. As I know defunding this position is not a personal attack, I have some quotes from students who do not have Ms. Fox as their personal counselor. Senior Frankie Roberts: even though she has never been my counselor, I always knew she was there for me. I know she works to build connections with students she doesn't work with, and that makes her really special. Freshman Kylie Gifford: when I was brand new to Anacortes, my counselor was on maternity leave. Ms. Fox made sure I was welcomed with open arms. I was well informed on everything I needed and was no longer scared to start classes. Senior Naomi Martinez: I am a teacher's assistant for the counseling department, and I have seen how she is such a key aspect, and I'm not sure how AHS will be able to do without her. Again, I know this is not a personal matter. However, it would be a huge mistake for the school to get rid of a counselor like Ms. Fox, especially when so many students depend on her. The reality is that many students depend on counselors: elementary students, middle school students, and high school students. Taking away this full-time position would leave students with less support. It is so essential for our school to have counselors who genuinely care and are there to help us navigate through tough times. Losing her would not only be a loss for those who know her personally, but for the entire school community. Thank you.
Thank you, Paige. Janine Dickinson is next.
Good evening. Janine Dickinson. I am here this evening on behalf of my daughter and some FBLA students and also lacrosse students. They're off at state competing this evening. We are saddened and angry to hear about the cuts affecting Ms. Fox. Ms. Fox was not my counselor, but she was my biggest supporter in my attempt to start a Morgan's Message chapter and in many other endeavors. By the way, Morgan's Message is not my Morgan. It is a national organization focused on athlete mental health. She's dedicated to her job and her students, and the school would be a far cry from what it is today without her impact. Not to mention, students can see the weight the counseling staff carries. They are overwhelmed. Cutting their department won't decrease this load. It will decrease the essential help students receive. You are not cutting a position. You are removing a person with an essential role in this school, and the students will suffer for it. Morgan Dickinson, co-signed Dylan Willingham, Asia Baker, Naomi Norgard, and Madeline Burrell. I am also a union president. I am a co-president for the Admin Assistants Union. And within your agenda this evening is proposed voting for authorizing additional cuts to unions. I am gravely concerned with the cuts without knowing how they are going to impact the buildings, the students, and the families of this community. So I urge you to ask some hard questions. And of course, this is all hard. We understand that. What else can we do? There has to be something else. And is it really necessary to repay this fund balance back at such a rapid pace? Can we make some changes and save our schools? Thank you.
Next is Kira Galbraith.
Hi, good evening. Lots of people here are speaking out on behalf of the school counselors, and I wanted to add my voice to that. My name's Kira Galbraith. I'm here as a parent tonight. I'm also a fellow school counselor at a neighboring district in Skagit, so I know how much goes behind the role of a school counselor. But tonight, I'm really here as a parent, and I am emotional because this is about our children's lives, about their health, and about how we're helping to develop the whole child. I have to take a breath. My son is an incoming kindergartner, and we just went to kindergarten roundup this afternoon, actually, and I've been so excited for him to enter the school district. I have a younger daughter, Ellie, who's going to be coming in a couple of years. We chose Anacortes as our home 2 years ago. We're buying our house here. We're in the process of that. Hopefully it closes in a month. And we plan to put our roots down here. And a primary part of that is because we believe that this school district is a wonderful place to raise a family, to raise a young family especially. And when I heard the news that you're cutting 3 counselors, I was shocked. And it sent the message that you don't care about my kids' health and about their well-being and about their safety. At the elementary school, that is where our kids build a foundation, where the counselors support in helping them develop those lifelong skills of self-regulation, of conflict resolution, how to have healthy relationships, tools that help carry them into middle school and high school when they will ultimately face difficult challenges with their mental health. And to go from 3 counselors to 1.8 counselor is a disservice. It's putting our children at risk. It's harming their safety. I know all of this has been said already tonight. But one last thing that I wanted to build on was that there was a House bill that was passed in 2022, 1664, that came out in support of the mental health challenges that young people are facing today, especially coming out of the pandemic. And that increased specific funding for counselors in schools. If that money is not going to our counselors, where is it going? I'd like to see that. Reducing these positions will not solve problems. It creates more of them. It shifts the burden to teachers, to families, and ultimately to our kids. And they deserve better. Let's continue to invest in the people that make our schools safe, supportive, and strong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move into board comments, and on behalf of the board, I'm going to start off board comments this evening with a prepared statement. I want to be clear, none of us supports reducing counselors or counseling services for students. These decisions are incredibly difficult and not taken lightly. Unfortunately, we are in an untenable budget situation with no easy choices. This is our fourth consecutive year of major budget cuts due to declining enrollment, rising inflation, and inadequate state funding from the legislature. Since 2022, we've reduced over $5.4 million from our budget. Despite this, because of our slim fund balance and the poor alignment between state apportionment timing and district expenses, the past 2 years we've had to borrow money with interest from our own capital fund and from the county just to make payroll during some months. The board's goal is to modestly and gradually rebuild reserves to avoid future borrowing and to put us into a stable budget situation. For the next year, in addition to counselor reductions, we've eliminated the supervisor of maintenance position, restructured the assistant superintendent role, and will be voting on a resolution tonight for classified staff reductions, in addition to other cuts, including staff reductions through attrition. Thus far, we've done everything we can to protect classrooms and students, but we've reached a point where further cuts will impact students. Anacortes is not alone. Nearly every one of the 295 districts in Washington is facing severe budget challenges. For example, Burlington is closing a school and laying off teachers for next year. Bellingham School District laid off 80 certificated staff in 2023 as part of their budget cuts, and still right now is facing a $15 million deficit. Many people in the room know this. I'm a former AEA president and WEA board member. I deeply respect and support unions. But with 88% of our budget tied to contractual obligations, we cannot preserve student services anymore without concessions from our labor groups. So far, the only labor group that's agreed to help reduce costs is the principals. We remain open to restoring counseling positions if savings can be identified elsewhere. Next year, new contractual obligations like added planning time at the middle and high schools will cost upwards of $450,000. Without significant savings somewhere else, we have no viable alternatives. Over the past 3 years, we've made cuts to bare bones, district office staff, supplies, operating costs, non-represented staff. We've already reduced classified staff where possible, including paraeducators, library assistants, custodians, maintenance and ground crews, and we've reduced some certificated positions. There's nothing left, and unfortunately, because of the current labor agreement, counseling positions are one of the only areas where we are contractually able to make cuts to reduce the certificated budget allocation. This isn't a choice that we want to make. Social and emotional learning and student mental health are board priorities. Throughout my time on the board, we've worked to expand SEL and mental health services for kids year after year, but our ultimate obligation as board members is to ensure the district's financial solvency, and we're left with very few options. Negotiations are ongoing. We need all labor groups to acknowledge the difficult fiscal realities we're facing and to come to the table with realistic expectations, solutions, and ideas for cost savings. We also need the state to honor its obligation to amply fund public education. But until the state reforms school funding, this will only get harder. We've directed Dr. Irish to revisit middle and high school schedules the following year for future savings. These won't be easy decisions, but they're necessary. Unfortunately, staff and students will continue to be impacted until and unless the state develops a new funding model. Protecting counselors, services, and programs for students at this moment will require collaboration and shared sacrifice. We need everyone's participation and partnership to find sustainable solutions. And I'm going to let my fellow board members also speak.
Thank you, Jenny. I also have a couple of prepared remarks. I want to reiterate Jenny's comment that nobody up here wants to make these cuts or any of the many, many other cuts that we've had to make. It's not lost on us. Some of us with our very own kids in the district, who some in this room have wonderfully taught, that these cuts are going to affect our own kids the same as yours, or the ones you teach, or the ones that you live next door to, the ones that you're the cool aunt or the grandmother or the friend or the coach for. Our kids are right there next to yours. We are not immune to the effects or unaware of the outcomes of the decisions that we're having to make. I just want to make sure that we're all clear that we have kids who we're being forced to make decisions that run counter to their interests, and we're being forced to make decisions that run counter to the interests of many of our very dear friends who teach and work in this district. I encourage everybody to look at our local state representatives and where their priorities were this session. With the exception of Representative Alex Rammel, our elected state officials have thus far failed to aggressively take on this fight, be that through direct legislative sponsorship, co-sponsorship, or public advocacy. Their efforts in Olympia reflect their priorities, and for the most part, we've yet to see that public education funding is one of theirs. Shifting gears slightly, I've heard from some staff, faculty, and community members lately that we should just start cutting sports. And I'd like to address that suggestion directly. First, the budget that provides for our athletics isn't just for athletics. It's for all of our co-curriculars. Last week, I drove around town to the various fields, courts, and buildings, and between AHS, baseball, softball, track and field, golf, girls tennis, trap and skeet, as well as middle school soccer and track and field, to say nothing of our very impressive number of clubs and interest and affinity groups. There are almost 400, maybe even 500, of our young men and women outside, off their phones, off their devices, being together in community, learning through movement and togetherness. These activities have a direct and undeniably positive effect on our students' mental health and well-being. The concern that's been expressed about mental health this evening and the effects this reduction will have upon it are absolutely valid, and I don't think anybody up here disagrees with it. But we shouldn't double down on one unfortunate decision with another. In my judgment, this entire fiscal landscape ultimately comes down to the friction between what ought to be versus what is. I believe everyone in this room shares an idea of what ought to be. I'm not pandering when I tell you that I believe public school teachers and counselors ought to be the best compensated public employees in any state. Regrettably, this board has an obligation to balance that vision with the realities of what is. So I want to reiterate that nobody up here wants to see these or any of the other cuts that our fiscal obligations require of us, but that is where we are. That is the is. It's also worth keeping in mind that there was a path that could have prevented some, if not many, of the cuts currently under consideration. As Jenny mentioned, we're going to spend approximately $450,000 next year to facilitate an elective schedule change that was negotiated under vastly different fiscal conditions. And it's worth keeping in mind that it's entirely possible, again, as Jenny mentioned, that this schedule change may be only in effect for 1 year. While it's true we are legally required to honor these contractual commitments, there's nothing that prevents either the district or the labor groups from coming together to revisit or renegotiate the terms. I understand there was some sort of an effort toward that aim, but unfortunately, those talks did not lead to a compromise. Many were here tonight to encourage us towards a different approach, but the district is not the only group at the table. Perhaps the previous negotiations, the one that I just mentioned, the ones that broke down, the ones that in a large degree could prevent many, if not several of these cuts, should be revisited. Finally, I want to close with saying there's a delicate and nuanced relationship at play in this enterprise of public education, and it's the relationship between responsibility, authority, and accountability. It's my opinion that there currently exists an unproductive imbalance between those three ideas. Those who are accountable for the district's outcomes do not necessarily have the authority to make the decisions that might make the most sense. So instead, I'll ask that everyone in the room, everyone in the district, and everyone in the community come together and share in the responsibility of finding a better way forward.
So many of you know that I've had kids, I have adult children. And so I've been in this district with kids, very emotional. Counselors are very important to me. Some of my best friends are counselors here. So anyway, I've had kids, they're adults now, but they were here from 95 to 2016. We've had, you can imagine in that amount of time, how our community has suffered with, a bunch of teachers mentioned this suicide. They mentioned, just getting kids to find their path, to find out who they are. And that does begin, it begins when they're infants and toddlers and all throughout their grade school, all throughout their middle school and high school. So we recognize for sure the importance of counselors and how important every adult in these kids' lives are. There's that ripple effect. It doesn't take much to send them into a spiral, and it doesn't take much sometimes to pull them out of that spiral. So all of us up here totally recognize the need for the counselors, and we would greatly appreciate working collaboratively together to find a solution to this problem. Thank you.
So first, thank you for being here, because I love democracy in action and I love voices heard. And I would love if you came to these meetings when we're not hot in topics and we can talk about good things that are happening in our district. I think that one of the things we need to remember is that we're just a little microcosm of what's happening in our country and in our state. And it's not easy anywhere right now. Our state is in major financial trouble. Our city just reported their Q1 reports, and it's not good. Our hospital just had to go for a levy, basically to keep the doors open. So this is hard everywhere. We're doing hard work right now. I think that all of you in the audience know at least one of us up here and know that this decision was not made because we didn't look under every rock. Dr. Irish can tell you I've thrown the craziest questions at him in the last few months, like, can we do this? Can we do this? I need a magic wand to find the money to not have to go where we've gone. So we believe, everybody here has said, like, we believe in counselors. We know how important they are for our kids. And we wouldn't be doing this if we weren't backed into a corner and trying to turn over every rock. One thing I did want to talk about more briefly, and for those of you who know me, you would know that the fund balance is probably not what you would hear come out of my mouth, but we keep talking about, do we really need to aggressively replace our fund balance? We're doing it very modestly right now. We're not asking for an aggressive replacement. Jenny mentioned that we had to take a loan, right, in order to be able to make payroll. One of the things that I don't think people understand about the fund balance is we're running on the edge right now of a couple of major disasters in our district, and that might be a teacher who is injured and has to not be here for the year, and we have to cover a sub. Just a couple of things could put us in the red. So the importance of our fund balance, we're not trying to not have counselors so that we can replace the fund balance. But the reality is that when a district goes into the red in the state and the state has to come in to manage the district, lots of things are out of our hands. So we're trying to walk the line of doing all of the things, of supporting the students and keeping the staff, and also making sure that we are financially stable enough to continue to make the decisions in our community ourselves. So, and again, for those of you that know me, know that the fund balance is probably not what you heard coming out of my mouth. So there's dramatic decisions possibly coming down the road in the coming years. You know, as we've heard, there's art programs being cut everywhere. There's buildings being closed. There's lots of teachers being letting go in other districts. So those things are coming if we don't manage our relationships and our collaborations now. So as all of the other board members have said, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes in the coming weeks and months to see how we can collaborate with our bargaining groups and figure out how we can save the counselors and we can set our district on course for being financially stable and being able to support our kids. So thank you again for being here and having your voices heard tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Sorry, we can't. Public comment is over, and we can't entertain any more public comments. So thank you. We're going to move on to superintendent comments now and assistant superintendent comments.
So let me just a second here. I'm going to start by just acknowledging everybody in the room. I appreciate everybody's comments. As Meredith said, this is democracy in action and voices being heard, and I hear every voice, and it's not a decision. These decisions are not decisions that I also want to make. I look forward to and remain open. This entire board and I and everyone is open to engaging in collaborative conversations with all of our labor management groups to ensure that we can find a solution together to help save money and keep our positions as many people as possible. We can make this happen if we work together, but we can't continue to give more and not cut positions. So we're open and want to save every single position that we've had to cut over the years. And I'm going to end it at that.
Dr. Clifford? No? Okay, thank you. So we're going to move into our business part of the meeting. We have, students. You don't have building reports, but you do have the opportunity to make other student comments. So I'll open it up to you next.
Yes, before everyone leaves, I would like to reiterate part of the comment I gave earlier was an emphasis on everyone in this room and in the district beyond and in the Anacortes community beyond needs to find common ground. It is my duty as a representative of the Anacortes student body to voice this to everyone here. We need the counselors. People need to make sacrifices so we can keep the counselors. The situation that we are in does not allow us to, at least to my understanding, it does not allow us to keep everything that we have now and also keep counselors. Everyone needs to make sacrifices. We need to come together as not teachers and staff and the board and the superintendent. We need to come together as members of the community to make students' lives better, because that's what we've all sworn to do, is make students' lives better. Thank you.
Hi. I'm going to reiterate Zephrin's comment about we need to find common ground. And I'm going to leave it at that, but I have a couple more comments. To the board, as a student, I see that you guys are trying so hard to make the best decisions for kids, and I appreciate that so much. And it is not lost on me how hard these decisions are for you guys. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for trying to put students' interest, or thank you for prioritizing students in all the work that you do. To Dr. Irish, I know this is so hard for you. I've heard you talk about how difficult this is for you and how much you didn't want to affect kids. And watching that it breaks my heart, and I know it's so hard for you because I know you are such a kind and amazing person. Thank you for all that you do and trying to put students in the prioritize students. I appreciate it so much. To Ms. Fox, Is she still here? Hi, Miss Fox. You have been such an amazing counselor to me these past couple of years, even when I was fighting for not trying to take PE. We don't talk about that. You are one of the most amazing and most supportive counselors I've ever had to work with, and I don't know what I'm going to do without you in my corner. Thank you so much. And that's all I have for everybody.
Anything? Okay. Thank you, students, for being here this evening and being here every board meeting. We are going to move into a finance update, and Mike Sullivan is going to make his way up to the podium.
For enrollment, I said we were down by 25 is what I projected for the year, and now we're getting close to the end of the year. I think it's be closer to 22 students that we're down from projections. So 3 FTE may be better than where I was originally thinking back in September. So other than that, we lose a little enrollment each month through the end of the school year. Any questions on enrollment?
Can you put that in terms of dollars and cents again for me? Can you tell me what that means as far as lost revenue or decreased revenue?
Well, about every FTE student is around $11,000.
So for 3 above, it's $33,000 more.
Yeah, so that's about $33,000 better than what I thought we would do back in September. Keep in mind that's still 22 down from where we thought, so that's $220,000, not as good as we were hoping for during this year.
So just to make sure I understand, because we lost more than we thought, we will end below projections, but not as far below as we thought.
Correct.
Okay. Yep.
Earlier this afternoon, we got a presentation from Dr. Dewey about the ongoing efforts for college and the high school, and that has the promise of helping some of the enrollment issues, because when students go and enroll in Running Start, for better or worse, we lose the funding that comes along with that student, particularly if they go full-time. Do you have enough of a crystal ball yet to be able to look and see what her efforts at the high school to boost college and the high school will do to your revenue?
I'll say I don't yet. I kept a little more enrollment this year at the high school, but not, it's up from my projections at the high school. It's down in the elementaries. And I think it's up a little bit in the high school because we started doing some of this and retaining some students. Although the amount of participants in Running Start this year is higher than it was last year, right? So therefore, we didn't capture them all yet. So how the efforts are going this year to impact next year, I don't know the answer to that one yet.
Yeah, my impression from her presentation today was that the college and the high school provides the same service with respect to dual high school and college credit, but it serves the interests of most of the students much better because they're here.
Right.
And it serves the financial interests of the district much better because they're here. So
right.
I look forward to seeing that program really grow under her leadership.
Yes, what I call in-person enrollment is the students that attend here. That's what we get the money for that pays for the staff here. When students are not attending here, like attending Running Start, that money really flows through us and to the community college. We get to keep a very small percentage of that.
Mike, remind me when you will start doing budget projections for the following year?
Well, I've done enrollment projections for the following year, and we're down, I project we're going to be down about 1.6% from where we're at this year.
Okay, so a little
again,
more
primarily in the elementary levels. I don't project a decrease in enrollment at the middle school and high school. And I'd say that's primarily due to declining birth rates, which is across the country. There's declining birth rates.
So a little more than 1% you're thinking of for,
yes.
for the following year?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Other questions on the enrollment report? Okay, we'll hear about the financial report then.
Okay. On the financial report, the revenues that I would expect to have received through February are up a little bit, primarily in our transfers, and the transfers is our technology levy expenditures that were occurring in the general fund transferred over from capital projects. So those are happening a little faster pace, and I think we spend a little more money there a little faster. My grants are running a little behind on our expenditures, therefore on the claims, and my revenues are therefore a little down on that. But overall, out of the $24 million we've received so far, I'm up about 89,000. On the expenditure side, though, I'm up about 130,000 from where I projected we'd be at this time. Keep in mind, about 70,000 of that was, again, a donation for 2 vans that is a little unusual that we hadn't normally had in a year. So, probably up around $60,000 on that expenditure-wise. And again, that's and it's in payroll in this case. And we, I'd say it's in payroll because we were able to pay out our sick leave buyback a month earlier than we had in the previous year. So therefore, it went up a little bit. I think it'll head back down in the next couple months. You'll probably see that happen in March and April. So otherwise, overall, our fund balance is down about 41,000 from where I projected it would be. But that's better than we were doing last year by about 225,000. Now, that being said, I made mention in there because I told you I've been concerned about our fund balance and that we may not have enough to get through the year. Last year in June, because we had to borrow 210,000. So based on where I'm at, up about 225, we might hit June and have $15,000 in the bank. It's hard to project it to that detailed level that far in the future, but that could mean I'm also in the hole. Just maybe not as much as we were last year at this time. But the possibility of needing to borrow again in June does exist, and we may be there. One thing that concerns me, because as you know, 22.5% of our revenue comes in July and August, and there is a bill down at the state that will shift another 2.5% into July and August, making it 25% of our revenue. The school year's over. And 25%, and that's a shifting money that they want to do to save the money during their biennium. It just creates a cash flow problem for us. We'll get all the money eventually, but it creates a bigger cash flow. And 2.5% is huge when our fund balance is less than that.
So do you anticipate in our business meeting next month, in May, that we'll see a resolution to authorize borrowing if we have to?
Because we anticipated borrowing this year, we did a resolution back in August for the year so that we could borrow from our capital projects fund during whatever months we find we were going to be in the hole.
Okay, thank you. So we wouldn't need to do a resolution again. We could just.
So you would not.
We would approve the borrowing.
We set it up in advance.
Okay.
And Mike, can you remind me what we
Because we really thought it was going to happen and still think it may, yes.
Yeah. Can you remind me what we would be borrowing for? What would we be using that borrowed money to pay for?
Well, at the end of June, we pay our bills and we pay payroll. Payroll is the much larger portion of our expenditures each month, So for example, this month, I don't have the month. I guess I just have my year to date. Year to date payroll is about $21.5 million, but my year to date material supplies operating costs or accounts payable is about $3.2 million. So that gives you an idea of the proportion of where we're at. So, my payroll will come in about $3.6 million each month. So, and the bills will vary depending upon, like this month, April, it's a really big month. We have to pay the second half of our insurance payment, right? So it'll be higher. So really, we're paying both of those things. I couldn't tell you that it was used to payroll or it was used for accounts payable. Just that combined, we may be short.
So I just want to make sure that I and maybe anybody else who's interested heard you correctly, that because of the way the state doles out money to public schools, we have in the past and will likely again in the very near future find ourselves in a situation where we're having to borrow against ourselves to make payroll.
Yes. Yes.
I just want to make sure that that's understood clearly, because I think that that may not be very widely understood. Finally, I want to thank you. I don't always like the answers you have for us. I don't think any of us, you probably don't like them.
I don't like
but
them
it doesn't
at all,
make
no.
But it doesn't make them wrong. I appreciate the effort that you put into this work. It's thankless. And us not liking, or the public not liking the numbers you bring us, doesn't make them wrong. So thank you.
Right. It's difficult to bring the numbers to you sometimes because they're not good numbers, but they are what they are. And I need to make sure that they're accurate when I provide them to you.
I just want to, you mentioned the other big expense right now is the other half of our insurance payment. Historically, is our insurance payment going down each year, staying the same, or going up?
Our estimate for next year is it'll go up by $125,000. I forget what the percentage was. Was it 15% increase in our insurance payment?
And what happens if we're not?
That'll be more than what the state allocates us for MSOCs. So not to mention our utilities are going up and other costs are going up, yeah.
And we're required to have our insurance.
We're required to have our insurance. As a matter of fact, I think if we went to purchase insurance outside of the Washington Schools Risk Management Pool, we would pay a significantly more than what we're paying currently.
Thank you, Mike. Any other questions about the financial report? Thank you.
Right. Thank
you, Mike. We're going to go to committee updates. WIAA update from Jack.
There's actually something to talk about this time. 4 things. 2 of them are grouped together. I think many in the community were aware of some, it was widely reported in the media, some proposed amendments by WIAA to establish some amended rules to their policies that would govern classifications for high school sports based on gender identities. As was understood all along, was that WIAA could pass whatever they wanted to pass. To the extent it ran into conflict with state law, it would be immediately irrelevant. We understood that, and that is actually, in fact, what happened, is exactly what we anticipated to happen. Neither of the 2 proposed amendments passed the supermajority requirement that was required within WIAA, but even if they had, WIAA had already conceded that they would be in violation of state law. So the outcome that most of us expected is what happened, and the state law prevails over WIAA proposed amendments. On the same boat, WIAA approved girls flag football as a interscholastic sport. Interestingly, WIAA did not provide any funding to pay for girls flag football, but they did offer that. Finally, WIAA also changed some rules that are focused on interschool transfers. A student can now transfer between schools for the sole purpose of athletics, whereas in the past that had been prohibited. It is now allowed, but the student must sit out at least 40% of the competition time in their first year. I've had some conversations with Justin Ports just to try to understand like what this might look like for our district. We have very competitive and very accomplished and very admired athletic programs. Ambitiously, I was hoping that that might lead to some more students wanting to transfer into our district. Just based on the geography and us sort of being out here where we are, he's not anticipating a large influx. More importantly, though, he's not anticipating a large outflow. Are there any questions?
No, just you might not know the answer to this, but I thought I remembered reading that the transfer was only available to students one time. They could transfer once. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's a transfer window seasonally, and then a student can only do it once. So they cannot ping pong around between schools.
Thank you. Interesting. The transfer portal, alive and well at WIAA. Legislative update from Meredith.
So for all of the reports that Jack has, I don't. Yeah, we've certainly expected everything to be more wrapped up by now. It sounds like both sides, all parties have gone into their own final budget negotiations, and we're nearing an end. But I would caution that none of it looks really great for us at this moment. So even some of the special education funding that everyone thought was a slam dunk doesn't necessarily look like it's funded nearly fully or at all at this point. So we'll continue, as always, to remain cautiously optimistic. But looking at everything in the last week, there's a lot of not great things happening at the state level from a budget perspective, and it does not look at this point that we'll be receiving much relief after this session.
Do you know, Meredith, are they still talking about maybe having to extend the session? Or do you know if it looks like they're going to end on time or not?
It does not look like they're going to end on time.
Thank you. Any other questions? Jack?
An added on observation to Meredith's comments, and this is not a political statement, it's just we talk about priorities tonight, many in the audience, and we did as well. I would encourage all of us to take a look and see what's being passed through Olympia right now. Some of it's awesome, some of it's not, but look and see where public education funding, particularly for special education and transportation, look and see where those are being prioritized. That's not to say that the things that are being passed or being advocated for aren't admirable. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm doing is asking for all of us to take a look and see where public education funding is being prioritized. And then please consider contacting your local representatives. I spoke to it earlier, but those are our advocates. We can't make Olympia change. Only the people in Olympia can choose to do that. And it's my hope that if the energy and the passion that was brought here tonight is directed towards the people who can make those changes in Olympia, that they'll hear you in the same way that we have heard you.
Thank you. All right, policy governance. We have our social emotional pillar evaluation, report evaluation. This was the evaluation we did last month. Are there any questions on that?
I move that we approve the social emotional pillar report evaluation.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Diana. All those in favor? Great. Dr. Irish is going to speak briefly to the stewardship pillar report.
Yeah, there's quite a bit on that stewardship report. However, I'm going to focus on two areas. One is school funding advocacy. I've been working with a statewide superintendent group representing small districts and large districts in Eastern Washington and Western Washington to address Washington Schools funding model. We have had so far, we've convened 3 times with leaders across the state and researchers and faculty from the University of Washington. Our goals in this group include short-term to address the budget challenges like our insurance costs and special education underfunding. And our long-term goals are to develop a 6-year plan for ample and equitable funding, specifically looking at our funding formulas at the state level. Our focus has been on the structural reforms to ensure lasting financial sustainability, and I'm looking forward to an upcoming convening early summer. As you have already shared in your response during board comments, we have had multiple years of budget reductions, and over the past several years, we have collaborated with our labor management, families, students, and the community to address our district's financial challenges. Our engagement has included Budget Advisory Council, community town halls, budget updates shared with service clubs, the Chamber of Commerce, and other community groups. We continue to use feedback from these sessions as well as we make future reductions. And I also want to emphasize our students who are at the table also engaged in these conversations, as evident by the amount of information that you have and that you are engaging in, and also advocating with your fellow peers, and appreciate your voice in this as well. Year 1, we implemented a zero-based balancing approach. We zeroed out the balance and we zeroed out the budget, rebuilding the general budget from scratch. We prioritized expenditures as followed. We identified what was required, so what's mandated by law and what's mandated by contracts with our labor groups. We identified what was essential and what was discretionary. I want to emphasize at that time we had a $45 million budget in year 1. And when we built back what was mandated by law and by contract, 40 million out of the 45 million was money we could not touch. And at that point, we were reducing $3.7 million. and we had $5 million on the table to play with. That is the reality of the hard decisions that we are making. Year 2 and 3, we transitioned to a plus-minus budgeting approach. We identified necessary additions for the budget and looked again at our legal and contractual obligations and determined reductions. And then we determined the reductions to balance that budget. We have since then, over these last 2 years, we've communicated in multiple ways in these board meetings. I've communicated the impact of state underfunding of public education in our district. I've shared webinars with staff, with the community. I have worked with principals and our district leadership team to distribute the information out to their teams. We've met with union leadership across all associations to deliver the same presentations and address their questions. We are in the process of identifying reductions of up to $2 million, as I think it was Zephyrin, you said 1.3, or maybe it was Paige, but we're looking between 1.3 to 2 million as we're identifying those reductions. We finalized enrollment projections of a 1.6 enrollment loss next year, which is about $480,000. But we originally predicted 1%, but we're seeing that trend is going up. We've identified reductions for positions and programs, process this with the district leadership team, and then we are beginning to process the reductions with our labor management groups. We have since done that with AEA, and now we're in the process of doing that with our classified staff per your resolution today. If necessary, we're going to, we're going to continue to bargain with 6 labor groups, and we hope that as we bargain with all 6 labor groups, that we will come to the reality that we don't have much money to give. I appreciate our Principals Association. They came to the table and identified reductions within their contract, and they're giving things up so they can save positions. We originally identified positions within the principal group to reduce, and the principals chose to give up things in their contract to save those positions collectively. We are going to continue to work through employee reductions as we move through the rest of this year and in the future. With enrollment decline and the continuing costs of our contract obligations, we're at least looking at another $600,000 each year that we have to reduce from the budget for years to come. And so that's an update on the work that we've been doing within the Stewardship Pillar Report, and much, much more that's in that report. But those are the highlights.
Thank you. I know we'll have an evaluation in a little bit. Does anybody have anything to say, or we've said a lot already tonight about stewardship and the budget? But
I move to approve the Stewardship Pillar Report.
thank you, Jack. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. All those in favor? Great. So we have some new business. We are lucky tonight because we have a presentation for the purchase approval of a Chromebook replacement.
And while this is coming up, I just want to be crystal clear that any money that we're using to repurchase these technology is through a levy that is designated to buy only technology. We cannot use this money anywhere else. It's an example of how money is tied up for specific purposes that we cannot use any other way.
Thank you. Rich King, welcome to the school board meeting.
Jenny.
And feel free with your presentation.
Hey, Jenny.
Oh,
I just
sorry.
wanted to ask a follow-up to Dr. Irish's comment before you
Oh,
started.
sure.
Can you speak to generally how much we collect from the tech levy?
Oh, God, you're asking me that off the top of my head right now. Mike, I'm going to throw that out to you. Mike, how much are we collecting with the technology levy?
A little over 2 million, I believe.
We will have that answer for you. It's late, and I'm a little tired. I'm sorry.
Mike, if you wouldn't mind, when you look that up, if you could maybe let us know the portion of that annual collection that is consumed by hardware, software licenses, and how much of it is consumed by personnel payments in the form of stipends and training.
I will, let me just repeat that in the microphone for all those who can't hear. So, and tell me if I'm wrong, Mike, because I'm also very tired. But 65% is in staffing, including like tech stipends, technology staff, and about 35% is hardware, software, license, subscription, things like that. Thank you.
All right.
Rich.
Okay. So this is a totally different topic here, but we have been working with the same devices with our student population for about 5 years now, going on 6, and they're aging. They're showing their age. Repair costs are up, and it's time to refresh. And we are lucky in Anacortes to have a tech levy to support this. But I wanted to approach this where there was more collaboration with the teachers and the principals and students especially. So that's exactly what we did. We put together a project team made up of our teacher tech leaders, my tech team, and we had a representative from administration and also from special ed. And we looked at devices from iPads to Windows devices to newer Chromebooks, other brands of Chromebooks. And we basically tried to look at the pros and cons of everything and get to where we were, where we could make a decision on what was best for the students moving forward. This project's been almost a year now, and the pre-planning plus developing the team in the fall. We've had a couple of meetings where we got hands-on with the devices. Vendors sent us demos, and we actually had some times with students. We had students come up during their lunches at the high school and actually get hands-on with the devices and provide feedback. We had a parent night, again, here at the high school, and really wanted to make sure we were making the most informed decision on what is needed. And, you know, from the teaching perspective, we had that in our project team, but it was important for me to get out and do what I called road shows to make sure we were making the best decision for everybody. We eventually landed on a Lenovo device for most of the students, but in our journey through this project, we learned that the high school actually could benefit more from a larger screen, which was rather hard to find, believe it or not, in a Chromebook. We did finally find one that would meet the needs, and we felt was durable enough that we could, you know, make it through somebody's high school career. But we understood. My understanding is it's going to help support AP testing and students that, you know, will have to do comparison between one list or another, or things like that throughout their testing. And then it's also good for accessibility, students that may have visual issues and have the larger screen now as an option. The other device is just an upgrade of the one that we're using now, but with much more power, much more memory. The biggest problem we have right now, aside from repairs, is the slowness of the devices. For anyone who's interested in the technical part of it, we're running on 4 gigabytes right now, which is really not enough for what they're doing every day. So ultimately, we're looking at a device that they're familiar with. The teachers know how to teach with those devices. There's not going to be a steep learning curve for anybody. Accessories are pretty much the same as well. So there's not going to be a lot on my team to have to retool or learn new things. The cost is, again, covered 100% by the tech levy, and the first year would do about 600 devices, and it's going to, the total cost, taxes, warranties, and everything would be $393,763.52. We have kind of tried to wrap this project around our annual operating plan and make sure we're doing the right thing based on, you know, what our goals are as well. And I feel like we did a pretty good job with that. We were very intentional about everything we did. We spent a lot of time looking through the feedback and seeing what the students didn't like about their current devices, what we could improve on without spending a ton of money that we just frankly don't have. I really wanted to approach this also with an idea of being fiscally responsible. Even though, yes, we are lucky to have a tech levy, we also have a lot that we are using that levy for already. Licensing costs are going up every year. Hardware costs are going up, and this whole project almost got derailed with the threat of tariffs, but we were able to overcome that just last week, actually. So I feel like we've done our part to meet the goals of the district and the needs of the students, and so now we're here tonight to ask for the approval for the purchase based on that alone. I did want to mention, previously we did lease our devices in order to support a one-to-one, and we did make some cuts last year to K through 2 to move to a 2-to-1 model, and it did save us some money, but the leases were really costly to the district, and I want to move forward with something a little more sustainable that won't allow us to, it just won't put us in a bind where we're paying off leases and then we're struggling to purchase new devices when the ones we have are aging. This new plan will be 100% levy funded, no leases involved, and every year we'll replace 3 different grades. We've got our plan worked out to 2nd grade, 6th grade, and 9th grade. Though they will get a new device every year, and we'll repeat this process every 4 years. The entire district will have new devices. Just putting us in a position where, number one, the devices are not going to age like they have now. Number 2, we're not spending thousands of dollars in repair costs because all of these devices are now covered by a 3-year accidental damage warranty. And more importantly, the lease fees that we paid to buy out the devices we have now, one lease alone was somewhere around $90,000. And we're not going to have to worry about those surprises anymore. So I feel a lot more comfortable with this plan than what we had in the past. And I think it's going to put our students in a much better position. I think that's all I've got. Becky, do you have anything to add? I think.
Thank you, Rich. Super appreciate the diligence and the thorough year-long process that you went through to get to this point, and obviously the attention to the fiscal component of this was really important for us. So in addition to what's going to work for students,
Right.
making the decision to change up the high school devices because of the AP considerations, and just really seems like it met all the needs. So just really appreciate your work on it.
Thank you. Dr. Clifford, I just wanted to thank you for the comments you made during the study session. It helped illuminate for us some of the work that's ongoing at the various elementary and secondary levels about managing screen time and ensuring that the time that is spent on screens is tied directly to curriculum requirements, and that the curriculum that we will be looking at and potentially trying to adopt for various math and ELA has a balance between paper pen and digital time. I appreciated the update you gave us there today.
Thank you. Any other questions before we vote? Yep, Casey has a question.
Is this just going to be for the students, or will teachers also be getting new computers? I don't know if that was...
So we're only talking about student devices right
Okay.
now. We did a staff refresh actually last year,
Okay.
and so
Oh, cool.
we're
Okay.
working on students now.
Okay, thank you.
So the similar process, well, not a similar process, purchase for staff devices were selected last year, and there's going to be a 3-year deployment cycle or 4-year deployment cycle. So the first deployment started this year, and then next year so just like the students, it's going to be over 4 years.
Very similar
Okay.
plan,
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question about the computers, the laptops. Are they, I assume in grade school, they stay in the classroom? In high school, do they move with the child?
Yes.
From
yeah,
freshman year
middle
on?
school and high school.
Middle school and high school. So a sixth grader gets a laptop, they use it all 3 years?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
It's not been that way in the past, for full transparency. We are, one of the things that came out of our group working on this project was trying to create some sense of ownership with the devices. So the students, some of the feedback we got was, they got a device back that wasn't as well taken care of as the one they had given up. So we're going to move to a model where we're not collecting devices, and we're going to try to, allow them to take care of their devices and be rewarded for it. So
Clarify on that if I could. Does that mean they're going to keep them during the summer?
yes.
Which they have done that in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done it, out of the 4 years I've been here, we've done it, I believe, 2 of the 4.
Thank you. Great.
And the parents do have full control of the Go Guardian filtering over the summer as well. So they have all day, 24/7, so.
Thank you. All right, I will take a motion to approve the purchase of the Chromebooks.
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the Chromebooks.
Thank you, Heather. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, we have Resolution 1000, which is the WIA membership renewal. This is just a renewal that we do every year to continue to be members of WIA. I don't think, was somebody going to speak to this? No, it's.
No, you've said it all.
Okay.
It is
I'll
an
take
annual
a
renewal.
motion then to approve Resolution 1000.
I'll propose that we approve agenda item 13B, the resolution 1000 WIA membership renewal.
Thank you, Jack. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And Connie is going to speak to Resolution 1001.
I'm here just to introduce Resolution 1001, our reduction in force with our classified staff. Again, like everyone said, this isn't coming lightly. We're hoping that we can just do this through attrition, which we've been in talks with some of our unions. I just wanted to add that I know we've had a lot of union talks today. We do have good relationships with our union. I know that we can come to the table and come to some common ground because at the end of the day, we still have to work with each other. But wholeheartedly, through my time here, it has been good. Even though we don't agree at times, I can safely say that in the room. But at the end of the day, we're all here for students. So just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. Also, just want to acknowledge that classified staff have already been affected over the past couple of
Yes.
years. And unfortunately, we are in a situation where it's potential that we might have to reduce further. So that's why we're voting on this resolution. Is there any questions before we vote? Great. I will take a motion to approve Resolution 1001.
I'll move to approve resolution 1001.
Thank you, Jack. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then Nikki, are you going to talk about the policy updates again?
Just stay here. Just stay here.
All right, we will start. Do you want me to just go through each one, or are you going to summarize all of them?
We won't spend a lot of time, but we have slides for each.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will start with policy update for 2022 electronic resources and internet safety.
This is aligned with the WASDA policy updates and just including the use of artificial intelligence in the policy. And that's it it's just making sure that we're aligned with WASDA policy updates. And you saw this earlier today.
Great. Yep. We had our first read and more of an in-depth study during our study session today, and the board votes on policies. Procedures are included just as FYI. So I will take a motion to approve policy update 2022.
I move to approve policy update 2022.
Thank you, Diana. Is there a second?
Second. Sorry.
Give it to Heather.
We'll take Heather on that one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Policy update 2023, which we also looked at during our study session today.
Again, it is just including the use of artificial intelligence and responsibly in instruction for interaction online, ethical use and safety.
Great. And we already had discussion, so I will take a motion to approve policy update 2023.
I'll move to approve agenda item 13E, policy 2023.
Thank you, Jack. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Diana. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Policy 2410 is just going to be a first read this evening. Do you want to say anything about that one, Becky?
It's just alignment with the WASDA model, and it's removing the culminating project, one
Great.
line.
And we also had conversation about this one in our study session. So appreciate the updating and making sure our policies are in alignment with WASDA and with state law. So we will see this one again next month, unless there's any further questions, but I'm assuming there's not since we already discussed it. Okay. We will see this one under consent agenda next month then. All right, we have policy removal, which is 3144. Is somebody going to speak to this one?
Good evening, board. Tonight I present to you the removal of policy 3144, release of information concerning student sexual and kidnapping offenders. This policy is not a WASDA recommended policy. In Washington state, this policy is already embedded into state law, particularly under our CW statutes regarding sex and kidnapping offender notifications. So it is already built into the things that we are supposed to do. While this policy outlines the district's internal procedures that are not currently in alignment with state law mandates these key actions, so we're just cleaning it up in our policy book.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, I will take a motion then to approve the policy removal of 3144.
So moved.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Diana. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then one final first read for this evening is policy update 6605.
Be me again tonight. This policy was approached from the Transportation Department. There is new state law that has to do with coming on, I've lost my words. I'm tired too.
Get him coming onto a school bus.
Coming onto a school bus, unauthorized use coming onto a school bus. Thank you for that little brain glitch. The purpose of this policy is to outline the comprehensive school trip safety program. There was also verbiage embedded into the policy that said it required a committee. I don't know of any committee that has ever met or needed to meet for this. And then it also clarifies a little bit of language since we were working on the discipline policy as to the authority of what happens for bus incidents and then what happens when those bus incidents, who do they go to? So it'll be sent to the principal for investigation. And then there's also some verbiage in regards to the right to appeal for students suspended from transportation and a brand new form added.
Great. So this one's just a first read this evening. Is there any questions about this policy?
Did I misspeak?
No, it's just you were talking about a lot what's in the procedure, but yeah.
Mostly, yes. And yes.
Thank you. All right, without any questions on this one, we will see it on the consent agenda next month. So with that, we have our consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments about the consent agenda this evening before we vote on it?
I just wanted to once again thank Nikki for all of her really hard work on getting our policies cleaned up and aligned. Every time I go through and read them, I'm in admiration of how your brain continues to function through all of the wording. So thank you for doing that hard work on our behalf. We appreciate you.
Great. And I wanted to just acknowledge that there's quite a few donations on the consent agenda this evening, and just wanted to acknowledge our community, the generosity of our community and our community partners and the people in our community to continue to come forward and make up the difference and provide funding for things that when we're in such tight budget situations, to be able to continue to provide opportunities for our students. It just makes a huge difference to the things that we're able to offer to students, that the community members are continuing to donate and support and fund opportunities for students. So.
I'm going to make a note, mostly because it will be why I abstain from voting on the consent agenda. But since I have to say that, I am very excited that the Anacortes School District, in partnership with the library, was a recipient from the Webb family for just under $20,000, so that every elementary school kid will not only get the summer reading log for the library this summer, but also a brand new free book. So, but that is why I will not be voting or anything else around this.
Great. Yes.
I move that we approve the...
Nikki has,
sorry.
Nikki's raising her hand.
We want to note that the donation in regards to the Webb family, that is a donation that they're continuing to do in winter and in summer. So you will see these repeat, just likely different dollar amounts, and I'll just continue to throw them into the agenda, but I wanted you to be aware that they would come up about every 6 months.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki, and thank you to the Webb family for their generosity to the students. So I will take a motion for approving the consent agenda.
Yeah, with gratitude for our donors, move to propose consent agenda items A through N.
Thank you, Jack. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And anyone abstaining? Thank you, Diana. All right, so we are just quick update on the board calendar. We have our final site visit of the year, which is always such a good one, to the Northwest Career and Technical Academy on May 8th. The board should note a time change on that came through our calendars this week. And then we have our May study session and business meeting on May 22nd, and our June study session and evening business meeting on June 12th. So with that, we are going to move to executive session pursuant RCW 4231-1009G to review the performance of a public employee, which is the stewardship pillar report evaluation. And we are going to adjourn in 30 minutes, and we will start at 8:45 to just give us a minute of a break. So we will adjourn at 9:15, and no action will be taken in the executive session.
All right, you get to go home. I have time.